you have to build this career a little bit at a time, and you got to say yes. You got to take the gigs. You got to get yourself out there the best you can, and you just got to be open to learning.
Welcome everybody to Nashville Drummers Podcast, episode 84. This time we had the pleasure of sitting down with our friend Dango Cellan, who's a dude that's been on our radar for a long time. That's a dude that we've wanted to talk to forever. So it was a pleasure to finally make it happen. Dango is, as a lot of you probably know, currently the drummer for emo legends Hawthorne Heights, but has played with acts like Scott Stapp, Super Chick, Red, and Sonic Flood. That one is particularly awesome for me. Dango is a fantastic dude, a great player, and a wealth of knowledge, and we just had a great time talking to him. We hope that you enjoy this combo. Love and kisses.
All right, we're live.
Here we are.
With Dango.
Yeah.
How do you say your last name?
Cellan.
Cellan. Okay.
But nobody, it's just a weird one, so I just stick with Dango, and that works. People remember Dango.
That's true. There's not a lot of them.
Few. Yeah. I've come across a few in 20 years, but not many.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to be seeing you in another thing besides walking by you at HTC.
Right.
That's great. I really like that. Finally getting able to have a conversation. Wanted to have you on the show for a while. It's great.
Well, thank you. I'm super honored and stoked to be here because I love what you guys do, and you've interviewed so many great players in town and just such a community thing. So it's like definitely it's an honor to be a part of.
Yeah, man. Well, I feel like we have a whole host of things to talk about. I was kind of running through your bio and just going through social media. I mean, you've been in town for over 10 years, right? Mm-hmm. What's 2026 like as we're here now and sitting in February 1st? Granted, this will probably air in closer to March or springtime.
Okay.
But
well,
how's the year starting out for you?
The year has been good so far, and this week, for example, is a great example of just my career lifestyle because I was on an emo cruise this last weekend with Hawthorne Heights, and it was all like The Used and Under Oath and Story of the Year and us and a handful of just all bands from my Air of Warp tour 20 years ago, and so did that. I missed a lot of the storm. We just had this massive storm in Nashville. My big kids were home and the power went out, but they got it back on, so they had heat. But flew home on Monday night, got delayed, finally got in at 1 a.m. Tuesday, I taught lessons all day. Played downtown Wednesday night, Thursday night, Saturday night. Had a session this week. And so that's a very typical week for me to have touring, Broadway, a session, and lessons. And I kind of juggle all four of those. And this year is going to be slammed for me, which I'm really thankful for because I started with Hawthorne Heights just over a year ago, and I go way back 20 years with them, my old punk band. Opened for them a bunch, and I've shared a bus with them, like previously to playing for them. But now that I've become their guy, this year is like this last year they said was slow, and I was filling in a few shows. I ended up doing about 100 shows with them, so it was busy. Wow.
Yeah.
and they're guys in their 40s, and they just tour. And so they just are like not Nashville. They're very just blue collar, get out there and work and play shows. So this year's 20th anniversary of their second record, which had some big hits on it, and was one of their big ones. And so we're set up to do Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Germany, Southeast Asia, a U.S. headline spring and fall tour. So it'll be...
Let's go.
Yeah, it'll be a slammed one for me.
Yeah,
and then,
cool.
Then I'm trying to juggle all the other stuff back here. But honestly, because we all do this, we all know the ebb and flow of you have years where you do nothing and you have years where you do some out of town. And sometimes Broadway's busy and sometimes, lessons are busy. I try to juggle them all so that when stuff slows down, I just have something else that picks up.
Or just professional jugglers, right? That's really all it is.
I mean, that's huge. Like if you got anything else out of talking to me, I'd be like, make sure you've got more irons in the fire because one gig's not going to carry your career unless you win the lottery, and you really have to be able to do multiple things. And they could be drumming, it could be driving Uber, or you could have an IT job and play drums 3 days a week. Like you're still succeeding as a working drummer, and that's so many new guys to town get discouraged. Like, well, how do I become Rich Redmond? Well, there's only one in town. Like we can't all be rich. Like you got to do your thing and figure out what works for you.
I like that.
That's great. Yeah. Yeah, and obviously you've been doing something right. It's been working for you, and
Well, thanks.
I feel like you really embody like the true working drummer, like having to as you said, balance multiple income streams, because you just never know. Like you said, that ebb and flow of in a calendar year, then from year to year, like just because you had a headlining tour maybe last year, this year's a new year. It could be something totally different. The artist could decide to do an acoustic tour, and that stuff happens pretty commonly.
And you just never know when an artist is going to stop or change band members. I'm always trying to encourage younger guys that one gig can't define your career, and it's easy to do, especially if they got a name on it. It's going to help you build it. But I've played with the Creed guy for a decade, and when Creed started the reunion last year, like the shows just stopped, and that's okay. I had a great run with it. I may never play with them again. I may play with them again, but that's just like that's the nature of that stuff. Comes and goes. The door closes, but then something else opens. And if you're out there working and you're taking gigs and you're meeting people, I feel like more gigs come up. And it's funny because I feel like I just got to town, but I've been here almost 20 years. And now, like, probably in the last month, I've had probably 6 younger guys take me to lunch and just ask me, how do you do this and how do you get to here? And, they're great players, and half of them could be better than me and be able to do all kinds of stuff I can't do. But a lot of it's like, you have to build this career a little bit at a time, and you got to say yes. You got to take the gigs. You got to get yourself out there the best you can, and you just got to be open to learning. Like you can't stick with the just one thing. You got to go, okay, I'm going to do multiple things and figure it out.
Like that. Yeah, like you said, don't let one gig define you. Don't let any gig really define you.
Which is so hard. Like, because I've been fired from nothing huge, because I've never had nothing. I've had no huge gigs, but I've been fired, and it's discouraging, and it beats you up. Yeah. And I just remember when I lost my first country gig, I had auditioned for it, and it was Craig Campbell, and he had songs on the radio at the time, and it was legit. I was up against a bunch of guys and got the audition. And I remember when I got let go, I was just devastated. Like, what's wrong with me? I suck. I'm a terrible drummer. And Travis McNabb, who's been like a great influence, encourager on me, sat me down. He's like, man, everybody in town's been fired. If you've been here more than 5 or 10 years, it doesn't matter. Keep going. You can do this. Just figure it out. Learn from it, Whatever you did wrong or said wrong or played wrong, or I wasn't good at tracks either. Like, there's so many little things. Looking back, I'm like, I probably would have fired me too, even though I could play the songs. There's a lot of stuff that was new to me. I hadn't done the track thing on the road, so a lot of that stuff. But you learn from it and you keep going. And that was so encouraging because several older guys in town just said, man, you're going to get fired. It's okay. Like most guys do and girls do at some point. We're not invincible.
I feel like it's a good thing. That means you're in it. You're in it. You're doing the thing.
You're in the hustle.
It's like professional athletes. Like, it's very rare that they stay in one. Like, the best athletes don't stay in one team forever.
That's true.
Besides like a Tom Brady. But
when we were kids, they did. Now they all sell out and jump ship for more money.
So I want to ask you,
yes,
because as we've already discussed, it is a little bit of a juggling situation. How do you define what you say or decide what you're going to say yes to? Because at a certain point, you start just getting offers and you're like, okay, well, I don't want to say yes to, obviously I don't want to say yes to everything.
Yeah. And that's so situational. So everybody's different on that. For me, it was years and years of say yes to everybody.
Yeah.
Take every gig. Don't be too good for it. Get out there because you're going to meet somebody.
And do you think at when you're first here, it's important to kind of go yes all the way?
And I'm talking 10 years in here, I was still doing that.
Yeah.
Because a bass player remembers you, a tour manager remembers you, and you go,
know where those should lead.
Yeah. And it's easy to go, I don't want to go on that gig. It's in a van or it pays $200 a show or whatever. Yeah. But we've all been there, and almost every drummer in town has done that in their journey. And because of that, they've got other calls, and they've worked their way up. So I'm thankful at a place where there's enough work where I pass on a lot of Broadway stuff because I have steady Broadway gigs, and I pass on a lot of road stuff that's like country fill-in. Like, I used to say yes to everybody, but it's like, can you go out this weekend for 2 shows and learn a 90-minute set? And I just go, no, not for $300 a show or $250 a show. I just quickly do the math for me and go, not worth it. The hours I'm going to have to do to chart that, because I've done that, and it keeps you sharp, makes you better. Yeah. It's like, if they're going to pay you $1,000 a show, sure, I would do it. But then who's going to do that? And they're not calling me if they got that kind of money.
Somebody else.
Yeah. So if it's a little fill-in thing like that, but it's not that I'm too good for it. It's more that my time's too valuable. That'd be missing X number of days of teaching, or stay in town and play on Broadway, make the same money, sleep in my bed, and have my family.
Yes, that's gold. Yeah,
so
really
my time is too valuable.
Yeah, but when I didn't have the stuff, I would do it. And also, I remarried. I went through a divorce like 7 years ago. Thought I'd be single forever. I remarried after the pandemic, met my wife during the pandemic. She had 4 kids. So I have a family of 6, like overnight. I'm 2.5 years into this, and I can't tell you how much that factors on what I say yes to.
Yeah.
Because now I go, do I want to go on the road? Probably not. Is it worth leaving family for X number of dollars? Whether it's 300, 400, doesn't matter. I just have to go. Is this worth leaving town 3 days? I could stay home. I already have work here. If I stay home, I can make X amount and see my family, and that's still worth more because I know touring's coming. Yeah. But if I didn't have a steady touring gig, I'd probably say yes to more little fill-in stuff because I go, that could lead to me becoming the guy on that gig.
It really is all situational.
It's totally. And you have to figure out, any drummer in town, guy, girl, no matter if you've been here a year or 10, you got to go, what are your expenses and needs? What do you need? And also, how does this help your career? I always weigh that too because I go, well, if this is really good and they're opening for Post Malone or Morgan Wallen opening dates, I go, well, that's worth more than the money to go play in the middle of Nebraska. Even if I got $500 to go play a small club, that's not going to help my career. It's just a payday. But if I'm in front of people on a bigger gig that see me, they might go, oh, we like that guy. And
right.
So
it's the money versus the seed planting.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can't seed plant your entire career and never see any return and go, this is worth it. But keep doing it. And if you're single or you don't have kids or you're young, now's the time to do it as well because you're going to hit a season with kids probably or a mortgage payment or whatever and go, okay, I got to be more resourceful in this situation. So that's how I look at it, and I balance it and just go, I need to work every week to pay the bills one way or another. So lessons are priority when I'm home. I always try to keep Broadway busy when I'm home, and I never did that for a long time. I was 10 years into living here before I got down there. I was so scared of learning the repertoire for it. But I think it's great, and Broadway gets kind of knocked by road guys. But then you get down there on Broadway, and you see some great, great players. And the skill set I've learned down there, like your trains and shuffles get better. Like I don't know why people dog Broadway unless they've been down there and tried it. Right. Because you will get better having to play old country and having to play all this stuff that's not in your wheelhouse. Yeah. And I play with a band down there that we play to a click all night. And so it's like I'm home practicing playing to a click without thinking about it. That's got to make my road playing better to play 4 hours straight to a click every single night for requests we don't even know sometimes. Yeah. We still put it on a click. Yeah. And
you guys sound tight, I'm sure.
That prepares you for sessions a little bit because it's like, well, now I'm playing something I don't really know, but also trying to lock it down on the groove with the crowd there and with adrenaline and sound and your in-ear mix and all that. So helps you think about that stuff too. But I also get how Broadway guys come off the road and go, I can make way more staying in town. And so you kind of have to juggle and figure out what works for you because I think guys and girls are super successful doing both or doing just one or the other and whatever fits you. For me, the working hustle, I go, I'll do both. I'm not too good for either. And for me, until the Foo Fighters call, like I'm going to keep pounding the pavement and doing all the gigs because that's how I'm going to make the living.
Man.
Yeah.
Even just talking to you right now, you're very level-headed and like a very mature way to discuss all this. Have you always been that way?
Well, no, but you just, like everybody, you learn in the process. You make mistakes. Yeah. And I've made so many. And that's why if you look at my resume, I played for so many people because a lot of people haven't kept me around because I either wasn't the right guy or sadly they were at the end of their career. Like I played for so many artists that I felt like they were just on the downside, which a lot of us have done that. I've never got to be with an artist like when they were at the peak and just started to take off and then exploding, which would be awesome. But also super thankful because I've got to play drums for rock and country artists and punk bands and worship bands and just a lot of different
you've been pretty
across the spectrum, not all just one thing. And if I go back to college at Belmont and the kid that came in there that could only really play rock and my professor's trying to get out of my head like, you got to be able to play other stuff. And I was like, no, I'm just going to make it at this. And you realize you can't just play one thing.
Chester Thompson saying that, right?
Yeah, it was him and Brian Fullen, who I studied with both. And they were very, just looking back, they put a lot of wisdom in my life as a kid. And some of it worked then and some of it just stuck with me where years later I'm like, oh, now I get what they were talking about. I didn't get it at 22 or 23 because I was hard-headed and I was like, well, I'm going to play super fast punk music and, going to be the only guy in Nashville that does that. Yep. And then you start to mature and see how the industry works and see how to get paid. And it's like, well, you can't just do one thing. And even if you're good at one thing, you may never get to do it and make money. Like there's just there's just so many different avenues. And we didn't have social media back then. This was just like just trying to make it out there touring. It was like session guys, touring guys and Broadway guys, and that was it. They were all separate worlds, and now they all mix, especially since the pandemic, and also now you add in the social media. You have a kid come to town who's got 1 million followers, never played a gig per se, but they can just rip. And I watch that and I'm like, that's unbelievable. Yeah. And I don't knock it because it's a skill set I don't have. Yeah. But then you're trying to help that kid go, okay, you need to mold into Nashville as well if you want to live here. Yeah. There's a thing you got to do to work here, and it's be a part of this culture. You can't just rip all the time because there's a place for it. But if you're playing music with people, it's usually not shredding unless you're super niche genre. So
right. Yeah. Well, why don't we dive into some of that resume, as you mentioned. I'm just looking at some of the bands that you've played with, currently tour with, Hawthorne Heights, Amber Pacific. You just came off of a Warped Tour. Why don't we jump into that? That was how special was that for you? Because you played
very cool,
Warped Tour, like 20 years ago? Also?
Yes. Yeah. So my dream at Belmont, I was like, I'm going to be in a punk band and play on Warped Tour, which sounded ridiculous. Nobody in Nashville did. This was like before, pop punk wasn't really all over the world like it is now. And so at the time, I just remember I graduated Belmont and I landed my first gig with this band, Amber Pacific. They were just signing a record deal. And somebody saw me playing at church in Nashville and said, you look like you'd want to try out for this band. I flew to Seattle. I didn't know anybody.
What does that mean?
And I didn't have the tattoos then. I mean, this was like, I'm just a kid with bald head and earrings. Yeah. So
that's all it takes, man.
Yeah. So I moved to Seattle. I flew up, auditioned.
Seattle, okay.
Got the gig. So I moved up there 8 years. And started touring, and we played the Warped Tour 4 years in a row, which is a very cool thing. That was like the peak of Warped Tour, 04, 05, 06, 07. The biggest years of Warped Tour 05 and 06, and that was like the peak of like My Chemical Romance and Good Charlotte and Simple Plan and Story of the Year, Yellow Card, Fall Out Boy. All those bands were breaking at that same time. So my band, Amber Pacific, got to do it, and we put out 4 records during that time. And it was such a cool experience because so different than Nashville, especially coming from Belmont and studying and doing the jazz and Latin stuff and learning about country and then going into this world because I got to play on the records and our songs at the time, were on TV shows, Laguna Beach and the Hills, and whatever was current at the time. We were on some movie soundtracks and video games. And our hot topic was like a brand new store in the mall, and they sold our shirt, they sold our CD. And at the time, you're just like a kid thinking well, this is living the dream. Like, we're winning the lottery. We're going to be Blink-182 or Green Day or whatever.
Private jets and everything.
Yeah. And honestly, it's like I probably never made $10,000 in a year playing in the band. Yeah. But we toured up to working in a bus, and we grinded and we played 200 shows a year. I mean, it was just like, it was living the dream. Yeah. And none of us were married. None of us had expenses. I didn't pay rent. I mean, literally, this was just like a crazy season of life. Yeah. And then as that slowed down.
So you guys were all living together, the band?
No, but I lived with different people. Yeah. And I got involved in the church up there, and people let me live with them free. I mean, it was just what a cool setting to be.
On tour,
to be in your 20s. I ended up getting married there, and as the band slowed down, I thought, I want to come back to Nashville, be a hired gun. So, I mean, we'll get into the hired gun thing. But all that to say, 20 years later, Amber Pacific, my band who hasn't toured in a decade, we put out a record last year for our 20th anniversary, signed a new deal just to basically put out a record, not tour. All those guys have normal careers, and they're not doing music full time. So we opened a handful of shows for Hawthorne Heights last year, just like a little run of 6 shows. And it was good to see the Hawthorne Heights guys again. It just kind of reminded them, I think, that I existed. And then when they needed a fill-in, they're like, oh, Dango's a hired gun. Like, he could do this. Yeah. So they called me, and that's how I started playing with them. And I was just going to do 2 shows, and I was going to do this emo cruise a year ago, bring my wife, and that was like the first shows with them. And I did, and then before those shows even happened, their drummer quit, and he'd been in the band 10 years. Wow. And so they're like, well, we got a spring tour. Do you want to do it? And I was like, well, yeah. And the Hawthorne guys are great. They're all in their 40s. I'm in my 40s. They're all married. Family dudes. They love that I don't party. They're just very level-headed, blue-collar, Midwest from Ohio, working class guys. Yeah. They work so hard, and that's why 20 years later they've still sustained this career. They never stopped. All these punk bands and emo bands have come back. They just grinded it out the whole time. So cool. I've done all year with them. The Warped Tour has been out for a decade. So this was the anniversary year where it came back, and they only did there's only 3 locations this year. So it wasn't really Warped Tour. It was huge festivals, but I mean massive. When we played LA, it was 80,000 people that day.
Jeez.
And we were a main stage at 6 o'clock. So, I mean, I bet we played to 60,000 without exaggerating. I mean,
yeah.
ridiculous,
Guacamole.
ridiculous. And to be in that world again and see all those bands. And what's crazy is even though I was never at the height of Hawthorne Heights or like, any of those bands, I was not in as big of a band in the scene. I still know all those guys because we did so many Warped Tours. So when we're seeing the bands I looked up to, MXPX and Story of the Year and Yellow Card, like all those guys know me and most of them know me by name. And, it's like I got to watch a lot of them play and they've seen me play. So they're like, oh, you're with Hawthorne Heights now. So all that to say, just a very cool, full circle moment. And even though with them, like I'm a hired gun, I'm not in the band, I've been there a year, but super rewarding. So I never thought I'd step into that scene again to get to do the Warped Tour stuff. So very rewarding. And it's funny, all the years later is how different you play, because now in my 20 years into my career, I don't go in like trying to play as fast and loud and bash. It's like, I'm going to go in and play the record as close as I can, make it feel good, make everything sit on the click super well. And where the guys are really comfortable and like, that's the goal. Go in where people don't notice there's a new drummer because it's such a clean transition. But back in the day, I'd have been like, oh, I want to stand out and add all this stuff and I want people to notice me. And now at this age, I'm like, well, that's not the goal. The goal is be a professional, do this, whether it lasts 1 year, 10 years. Like I want to go in and be seamless and, whether it leads to other work or these guys want to keep me around, like that's you just look at it so different the more.
That's cool that you had
the
that
longer you're in the
experience,
game.
Like to, as you said, play more or less the same gig 20 years apart.
Yeah.
And like how you've realized how you've matured as a player. That's pretty cool, man.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. As soon as you said MXPX, slowly going the way of the Buffalo was just playing in my head. I was trying to like I'm listening and also anyway.
So I have a tattoo of them.
Oh, that's sick.
That's like my all-time favorite pop punk band. They got me into the genre. They were a big Seattle band. I mean, they're from Bremerton, but like Amber Pacific opened for them a ton. I've sat in and played drums with them on Warped Tour a bunch of times.
That's so sick.
Yeah, to me, we did one record at my career studio that he produced and played bass on. So for me, and if you come from that world, like just legendary to have worked with him. He actually, sad because it was my first wedding, but Mike sang at my first wedding actually back in the day, which was now almost 20 years ago.
That's wild, man. How cool is that?
Small world, though.
Yeah. Let's talk stage presence. Rezo Custom Drum Heads, powered by FDS Drum Services, is the easiest way to upgrade your look without actually, practicing. Rezo is what the pros are using on world tours right now. They've outfitted some of the biggest names in the industry because these custom heads are chip resistant, affordable, come in multiple finishes, and look incredible. Logos, photos, or that weird drawing your bassist did. If you can dream it, Rezo can print it. Plus, they've got 5-star reviews, lightning fast turnaround, and they even do rush orders for you last-minute legends. Stop settling for good enough and get a custom head that survives the road. Get a free t-shirt with your order at rezoheads.com. That's REZO heads.com. Use code NDPFAM for a listener discount. That's NDPFAM.
Well, should we take it back a little bit? We've kind of already talked about like your definitely the punk influence and upbringing, but
which is such a small part of my career now. The last 10 years have been none of that really.
I mean, we don't need to do a full timeline from grade school on, but just like take us back to your younger years and how music was maybe around the household, first drum set, that kind of stuff. Yeah,
so I'm a pastor's kid, grew up in church world and really?
Sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
Were you a hellion pastor's kid or were you one of the good ones?
I towed the line. I was
look at you.
Yeah. And I was a little legalistic about stuff and just very this is how it's supposed to be. Yeah. Which I would do totally different now. But my parents were awesome and super genuine. And no matter who meets them, no matter your stance on Christianity, you can't meet my parents and not think they are legit, the real deal, because of how they treat people. My dad was an atheist till he was 25, so his view on Christianity is just so practical and welcoming, and you could sit and talk about anything and he wouldn't be offended. So I was really raised in a very fortunate, for all the legalism that came out in Christianity in the 90s, I feel like I was just in a really good home. The older
awesome.
you get, and now that I'm a parent, trying to be a parent, I just think, man, they did a good job, and they weren't sitting around thinking, how do I do a good job? They just lived it out, and it was it was very cool. So for me, I started playing at 12 in middle school, a little late, and sports were really my thing. And so I kind of always music was secondary. So I started playing, taking lessons.
What sports were you playing?
Yeah.
I did baseball and basketball and football.
All of them.
And then in high school, started doing cross country because I switched to this private school and we didn't have football. So I started running. And that was like probably my best sport. And so I was kind of dreaming of going into college and doing sports, and that's what I love. But music was my secondary. But I played at church. So I started playing concert band. I started taking lessons. It was in Madison, Wisconsin. And we had a good music store there that I took lessons at. And I had a rock band where we recorded an album, which in the 90s was like late 90s. I mean, you had to go to a studio. There was no home studios. There was no garage band. You couldn't do it on your laptop. So you had
It was a really big deal if you made an album in the 90s.
And we saved
huge.
Yeah.
And this was like probably 97, 98. And we saved up money, went into this place in Madison. And it was like garbage, and a few bands had recorded there. So that, it had some street cred, but it was still pretty low budget for what we had. Did an album, there was no click or thought of anything like that. It was just like a rock band playing. But that was a cool experience. And then my senior year of high school, I had this major incident with my knee. 2 big incidents in high school. One was a heart condition they found during basketball season. And so it ended me, I had surgery on my heart, was able to keep playing basketball, but it was kind of a scare like, oh, this health stuff could really affect your sports. My senior year, they found a bone disease in my knee. And so doctors said, we need to do a bone transplant. I was too young for a replacement, so they did like a bone graft in my knee. They said, you'll never play sports again. Yeah. And so this was senior year. And junior year, I'd been 9th at state in cross country. And at baseball, I was like the strongest pitcher in our conference and had thrown a no-hitter that year and several shutouts. And so it was like I was really hoping.
You were excelling.
Yeah. And again, this is small town Wisconsin. Like this is not, I wasn't going to the majors. But as a kid, I was thinking like I got a chance. Maybe college is on the horizon, small school, whatever. So that just ended it right there. And I said, well, I play drums. What about that? Because that's my bass drum leg. It's the right leg. Is that a thing? And so the surgeons looked at it, and I saw a bunch of sports medicine guys, and everybody in Madison, all these that, worked with all the pro athletes, all looked at my knee, and they're like, all right, you're going to be able to play drums, but we got to get this bone thing fixed. So they do the replacement or transplant. I'm in a wheelchair for like 3 months. I mean, the incision's like this. It was a big recovery. Wow. And so it was pretty heartbreaking at the time. Looking back, you're like, well, this is what I love, but I guess I can still drum, and I love drumming, so let's just look at that. So that's what really turned me to Belmont, because I was like, I want to play drum set. And at the time, there was maybe like 5 schools you could go to and study drum set. It was like there in Berkeley and North Texas and, a few other places. But I had some recommendations. Go to Nashville, like that's the music world. Yeah. Go to Belmont. So I went and auditioned, got accepted. And so that's when I came down at 18. And I was like, small town, at a small Christian school. I was probably, our best drummer and was playing all the time. And my best skill set was that I played so many times a week, because I was playing all these services at our church. And even though it's a small church, we were doing 3 or 4 a weekend. I was playing in chapel at school. I was playing in this rock band with my buddies, and then doing concert band. So learning some reading, a little bit of technique, taking lessons. But it sounds like I was doing more than I was. I was playing several days a week.
Yeah,
so
very active.
My experience.
That's more than most people are doing. Then.
Yeah. But my best experience was I had a good ability to play live and not get scared. Like I was very comfortable, and playing in the church setting really taught you to follow and flow, and to, sometimes you're playing exact song structure. Sometimes you're doing a bridge for 3 minutes. I played in a lot of different kinds of churches. So that helped me a lot. And I'm not talking like gospel chops. I don't have any of that. Yeah. But for small town Wisconsin, that was a good skill set coming to Nashville. But I came in thinking I was all right, and you get to Nashville, and you're 18, and you come in with all these kids, and you're like, I am terrible. Yeah. Like, I thought I could play, and I'm looking at these kids who are playing jazz and Latin and metal and stuff I never touched. And I played punk, but I wasn't like into it yet. So I didn't have that skill set. I was just like, oh, I can play 2 and 4. So Belmont was super good for me, and it, developed me a lot. And I still came out of Belmont with, there's probably, 10 guys there that were better than me at the time, even coming out. But I came out a better, more well-rounded player, more confident. And Chester was just always very encouraging to me, that he's like, God's called you to do this, so you're going to do it. Don't have a backup plan. And that was his best advice to me.
Gotta have a backup plan.
And he said, if you have a backup plan, you're going to do it because this career is super difficult. And I remember thinking that. I was like, all right, no backup plan. I'm going to play drums. And I can't tell you how many seasons in different years where no work's happening and nobody's calling and I'm driving Lyft or Uber or painting or doing handyman work or whatever. And I'm just like, yeah, but there's no backup plan. I'm not getting another career. I'm sticking with this until the next gig comes or the next season comes. And it was actually really tough in my first marriage because I was married almost 10 years and I'd been drumming and in Amber Pacific before that happened. But like, not even to put her down, she just hated that I had no backup plan. It was like totally different than her family was raised. And I just said, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. And Chester instilled that in me. And so she's like, I love that, but I hate
Chester
that.
Thompson told me not to have backup. Do you even know that?
Yeah. And when I look back at my other teacher, Brian, was super influential. Do either of you know Brian Fullen at all?
I don't know.
So he played for Peter Frampton. He played for Shania early on. He played for Bob Carlyle when like Butterfly Kisses was the wedding song.
Wow.
And he's been a session guy in town 20 years. So he's not as known as Chester, but what I love is he's like the working drummer. Yeah. And in the last 2 years, he's now at Trevecca, not Belmont anymore, but he had me come to a master class there. We reconnected and I was like, man, Brian's like the guy doing what I want to do because he's teaching at the college level. He still tours with like Pam Tillis and some 90s country artists. And he's playing on records. He's teaching college stuff. He's doing gigs in town. He'll take some touring stuff, but like he's truly a Nashville working drummer.
Yeah, 100%.
Playing on sessions that's done it for, 30 years or whatever. And I go, that's way more relatable. Chester was awesome, but Chester like landed Frank Zappa at 19, jumped to massive gigs, then was in Weather Report, then was in Genesis, then Phil Collins. So when he talked about it, he made you feel like, well, yeah, you just do this until you get you're going to get a career gig, and we're all going to get career gigs. You just we all came out thinking like, yeah, I'll probably land a career gig for the next 40 years. Well, nobody really does that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Chester never had to grind on, and I'm not saying he didn't work super hard, but I mean, the Nashville hustle,
it's different. Yeah.
He's not doing little sessions in Broadway and playing on, at a little place and then going, like he's planning his whole year around this tour. And when I was at Belmont, Chester played on the Super Bowl halftime show because Phil Collins had the Tarzan song was out at the time.
Right.
So I'm a freshman and I'm looking at my teacher playing at and I was like, oh yeah, I guess if I stick with it, like this is what you do. And literally 20 years later, I'm like, nobody does this. Like who's playing the halftime show? So I guess it's just, the different things they instill in you, you just look back years later and you're like, wow, I didn't realize this is what it was going to look like. And so I started studying with Brian again the last year. And he's like, what do you want to learn? I said, man, I need help with I'm having pain on the road. And he's like, okay, you got to be able to play arenas till you're 60. Yeah. And if you don't change some things, you're going to have pain and you got to work around it. So we've been working on molar technique. And it's been so fun to reconnect with him because he's 60 now and I'm early 40s. And like he was my age when I first started studying with him. But it was so rewarding that he had me come in and do this master class at Trevecca because,
full circle moment,
and in the last 3 years I've done one at Lipscomb, I've done one at Belmont, and just here in the fall I did, I spoke at 2 classes at Vanderbilt that were music business. So in the last couple of years since the pandemic, I've gotten to do all 4 of like the schools in the area. Yeah. And like that's such a full circle moment because I love teaching and I love communicating and I love just just trying to help people get to the next level. Like, my story's not like, I'm cool, look at me. My story's like, hey, how can I help you get to the next chapter in your journey? Because if I can do it, you can definitely do it. And you're probably a better drummer than me or you whatever. Like, I can probably help you get to being a better drummer than where you're at. And I think that's where the teaching is so rewarding. And if you don't teach, think about it. I'm always telling younger guys, like, you have a lot to offer. And older guys in town who are like, oh, I don't really like kids. It's like, that is such a small part of it. Like you will see a kid from week to week improve, and it's so rewarding. And it reminds you like why you first loved the instrument. And sometimes it sucks, and sometimes the kids are a pain in the butt, and you're babysitting. Sure. And then I go, I got a family. I'll take your $40 either way. But
exactly.
If 9 out of 10 kids are excited about drumming, like that's so rewarding. And then now I've had a couple students go on to tour that are in Nashville playing. Cool. Yeah. And sometimes a guy will move to town and be 25 and take a couple lessons with me, and I think, well, you're so good, you don't need a lesson with me, but I'll show them a few things and go, this might help you, or this is how I shorthand chart, or this is how I do tracks, or this is how, just something practical to go, how do I get them to the next level?
Yeah,
Because
I just love how open you are. Evident that you really do care about the community, and
well, thanks.
there's not a lot of gatekeeping going on.
Well, and so many guys, I could list countless guys in town who've been influential on me. Travis McNabb, I mentioned. Yeah. He's talked me through a lot, just give me advice. Lester Estelle, he's actually younger than me, but a monster. And
total monster.
One of those guys that's helped me with my studio and lent me mics and lent me preamps and showed me how stuff works. And just, I'll call him and say, this UA thing isn't working. He'd be like, oh yeah, man, I got you. And it's like he's never too big to help somebody smaller. And I love that. And so many guys in town are like that. Dennis Holt's one of my longtime friends. I don't know if either of you know him. He's an older guy in town. In his 60s, he played in Kansas. He's been like a session guy forever. And he was like one of the first DW endorsers, one of the first Peisty endorsers. So he's just one of those guys I connect with as a friend, always giving me input on my career. And the list could go on forever of guys in town that I go, this guy encouraged me or spoke into my life or just was a friend when I needed it. And it's like, if I can do that, that's more rewarding than going, oh, I got to play for so many people.
Yeah. I could not agree more. Man.
Yeah, you have that personal connection with somebody, and it's like you just feel like that made a difference. Yeah,
that's cool, man. That's
for sure.
Cool.
It's cool to see somebody especially when you see somebody already excellent, and you're like, yo, if you just take this little nugget, I know you're going to do awesome stuff with it. And seeing someone take that and run with it, you're like, oh yes, thank God you're doing that. Yes, please. It's. And the same with, when you're teaching a kid and you see not just a talent, but like a real love for the thing.
Yeah.
Like if you get to impart something, like I got to share, like that's, now they're taking that thing and that's like, I don't know, it's like a little part of yourself you get to share and they get to have and whatever, plant that and it takes root and becomes its own thing. It's so cool.
So true.
Yeah. Hey drummers, do you need a place to practice on actual drums? Drumbox has locations in Lafayette and Longmont, Colorado, and their newest location is right here in Nashville, Tennessee. You can book sessions online and get the space to yourself. Each Drumbox location is fully equipped with 2 kits, cymbals, hardware, and even sticks are provided. 30-minute, 1-hour, and 2-hour sessions are available at www.drumbox.space. Use the coupon code ANDP25 for 25% off your first session. The coupon code is valid at all 3 locations. Again, that's www.drumbox.space.
Mental health, something I was thinking about, just like as we're talking, again, as we're sitting here at the beginning of the year, it's a slow season for many of us, for most of us.
For everybody. I don't know.
In terms of, you've obviously been able to sustain a pretty successful career and like longevity and, balancing different income streams and gigs and tours and teaching. And you're doing so much. How have you remained grounded and just stayed sane while doing all these things, supporting a family, which I'm sure is paramount as well?
Up and down for me, just like everybody. And when I went through a divorce, 2018, I also had to have a knee replacement at that time, which was a major thing. Follow up on the knee thing. I've had 6 surgeries on that knee. Tons of arthritis. That's a constant issue. But I did about 2 years of therapy coming out of that divorce, and it was life-changing. And I'd never really done it. And I would just encourage anybody, if you're battling anything, like, don't be too proud to go get help, counseling, therapy, whatever, with somebody. And there's so many people in Nashville, and I did it through a nonprofit organization that helped musicians. I had no money, and it was like they helped full-time working musicians. So there's so many resources like that. So that's been a big one for me. Staying grounded, having a family now is so much of my trying to be level-headed, because I think I've got all these people relying on me now. And my wife obviously is a huge component of helping me stay level-headed. And my parents, I'm still super close with them. So, they're really good about reminding me to rest. And I'm a workaholic, and I get too busy and I get going, and then my body breaks down and I have injuries. I'm battling, like right now, I've got a bad strain in this arm from overuse, and I had a tear in this shoulder last year and a tear in the one before. So I did a bunch of physical therapy. Yeah. And like my dad is just really good about saying, hey, you need to take a day off. I believe it's instilled in us, and I think that's how God set it up in the Bible. We're supposed to have a day of rest. So even if you don't agree with that, our bodies work so much better. And he's always reminding me, like, you're going to be more efficient in 6 days if you take that 7th day off. And so,
dude, since
such a struggle.
I've been good about holding on to a Sabbath, it has been a boon for my life.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah,
for sure.
I know, it's funny. My parents are always, God bless them. They're always, I'll be on the phone with them. Oh, like, you got to rest. I'm telling them about all these gigs, and they're like, hey, you don't have to say yes to everything. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. I have to say yes.
You kind of do,
right now. It's like, but yeah, that message doesn't go unheard, and like you do need to rest and have that balance for sure.
So I still work on that. That's still a struggle for me, but I try to take that day off, and I try to, make time with the family, which is hard, and I don't do it enough. But also, I've separated I bought a house at the beginning of the pandemic, and that was right out of my divorce, saved for a year of touring and crushing Broadway. It was like Stapp's busiest year, and I was working like 10 shifts a week downtown when I was home. I mean, just killing it. Living alone, just like every day, just start, stop. And you can't sustain that. That's a hard thing. Like you can grind, and I didn't even have good gigs. It'd be like I'd make $108, and then I'd go play the next one. But it was just, it all accumulated. So I bought a house, and I built the studio in there right at the start of the pandemic. So I started tracking drums. I thought, I'll live here forever. I'll never remarry. So when I met Amber and the kids, I was like, well, we can't put 6 people in here. The house is like the size of this room, It's just, couldn't really do it. So I was so bummed about losing the house and the studio, and I thought, if we buy something else. So I started doing all this research, and I decided I was going to Airbnb the house if I could keep it. My dad co-signs with me. We both put all our income in to try to show enough to buy a second house. And by the grace of God, it works out. Yeah. I keep the old house, and he's like, if you don't rent it out, it's not going to work. And I said, well, I'm going to do Airbnb. I think it's going to work. He's like, you don't know anything about Airbnb. I said, I know, but I've been studying it. I did like this 40-hour course on it. And I was like, I'm going to figure this out.
Okay, we need to talk after this. Okay. I'm going through that right now. Actually.
Okay. Yeah. So, and then to get the permits in Nashville is extremely difficult. Yeah. So I jump through all the hoops. I get accepted. And this makes me sound like a baller right here. But my studio is in my B&B, and I rent it out Friday and Saturday. I lock up the studio. There's no windows. You don't really know it's there. 2.5 years, nobody's broke in. And Monday to Thursday, I use the studio for teaching, recording, whatever. It's mine. I'm there. I make sure it's cleaned and ready for the people. And then my wife cleans it on the weekends. And that's how we've worked it out.
That's sick.
That's 2.5 years in, there's only been 2 weekends it didn't rent out.
Yeah.
In 2.5 years. That's so crazy, kind of a miracle. And you think, oh, you're making a ton. I'm really not. I'm breaking even, paying the mortgage and the expenses on it.
Yeah.
But building equity in the house, and you guys know what it's like to have a room like this that's treated, that's ready to go, with drums set up. Like if you had to rent that in town, you'd be spending $1,000, $1,500 or whatever. So it's 10 minutes from our house. I can drive to the studio. And so also the separation of the two houses is great because when I'm home, I'm not generally working on drums. I can't go practice. It's like if I'm home, I got to be with the kids and the wife. And I intentionally did that because when I lived in the house with the studio, it's so intermixed that your whole day you're like, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. It's like if I'm home, I'm not working on tracks and I'm not working on recording, and I'm just trying to see the family when I'm home. Again, it's the balance. I'm not great at it, but I'm trying to do that so there's enough separation of here's work, clock in, and then here's the house.
I like that, yeah.
So
physical separation for
that's helped me mentally.
Yeah.
And the last thing, to answer your question on that, I try to work out the best I can, 3, 4, sometimes 5 days a week if I'm lucky. That's just a time thing. Like I'm very disciplined if I want to do something. I suck at eating healthy, but I'm very disciplined at the gym. I'd work out 7 days a week if I was not married. But with the family, if I can get there 3 or 4 times, that's pretty good. And to me, that probably does more for my mental health than most things. Like it helps you wind down and keeps your body, for me especially, getting older, not that I'm old, but like just helps with the injuries and helps with trying to stay active with your outside of drumming because it's so easy to get sore and stiff, and I slouch. I'm slouching right now. It's like you can't play 4 hours and not slouch. So how do you play an entire gig relaxed like this?
You've got good posture. I wasn't going to bring
sometimes.
It up.
Been working on it. The lessons, 20 years into the pro career, still doing lessons for that very reason.
20 years of wrong.
Well, and just get better at it. And I'm definitely doing more whip motion on my snare, less playing through the drums, hitting less hard. And I don't think anybody thinks I'm a pansy out there. Like I'm not But I'm
you're
also,
hard.
when I came out of the gate at 25 or whatever, it's like I was trying to slam and go, I'm going to play so fast and hard that you're not going to believe it.
Yep.
And even if you watched Taylor Hawkins in his prime, he's hitting hard, but his technique was so good on his molar stuff that I'm like, no wonder he can do it and not be, sore all the time. Same with Dave Grohl. And you might love or hate him, huge influences on me, but both of them played really well with good technique for still slamming the drums. So, and I'm not even trying to hit that hard. I'm trying to, most of the time I'm trying to play for the room and think dynamics and keep the artist happy with me, which is never playing loud.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Who's your Mount Rushmore? Let's call it that.
So my favorite drummer overall influence in my career is Josh Freese. And it's interesting they played for the Foo because I'm a huge Foo Fighters fan. I love Dave Grohl and Taylor. But Josh Freese is the guy that I remember reading about him in the magazines. I was really into modern drummer and drum as a kid. And him and Abe Jr. are the two guys that I said, I want to play DW and Paiste. And I want to endorse those companies because of those two guys.
Yeah, you are.
And on the Warped Tour, I saw Josh Freese play with the Vandals and do a solo every day. And then it'd be like he'd fly out because he had a major session or he was going to go play with Sting and he'd have to miss a few shows. And I remember seeing that being like, and just you'd read liner notes back then and he was on so many records and it'd be like he's on Michael Bublé's stuff playing brushes, and then he's on an Evanescence record, and then he's on Good Charlotte. And I mean, it's just pretty across the board. So that
Avril
was the
Lavigne.
guy for, yeah. And I had a lot of those albums. And so I remember he was the guy that I thought, well, I get what he does. I like that. That connects, that's a guy I want to be like, as far as a career, because he's so versatile and so in demand.
Yeah.
And so he's definitely up there for me.
He's interesting because he opened a door for me mentally, just in my understanding of the music business, because I knew he played on those records and I knew he played on those Avril tunes. And then I was watching the music video and it's some other drummer and I'm like, I guess that's probably a thing that happens all the time, isn't it? It hadn't occurred to me until that moment. Anyway.
I remember seeing when I used to watch music videos, you just assume that the guy playing is like, oh, that's what he played on the record and those were the drums and that was the drum head. And it's like, no, that's just the guy in the video.
Has nothing to do with anything. Yeah. It's
years
just
later,
what's on the video.
Years later, you realize that's totally different. So he's definitely my biggest. I'd say Abe Jr. was up there. And the first thing I heard of him was Vanessa Carlton. And that first record, I was like, this is unbelievable. I don't know what's going on.
I heard that. I was like, I didn't even know drums were allowed to be recorded like that in commercial pop music.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh, this guy plays for Paul McCartney. And then you start looking and he was on Shakira's record and all these at the time. I mean, he's been on tons since then, but massive career. And I don't play anything like him stylistically, really, but I love what he does. He's just one of those guys for me. And, I got into some of the shredders in college. I got to see Weckl in Clinic and Garibaldi. And, Vinny might be my top, best in the world that can play everything. And Vinny's one of those guys. I know there's newer guys always coming out with more facility than everybody you've ever seen before.
Totally.
But Vinny, when I was at Belmont, he played on Faith Hill, the Breathe album with everything on it, and he played on a Megadeth record the same week. And I just remember being like, how is that possible? Mr. Traditional Grip, doing that thing. And every time I've seen Vinny, I'm just like, it's like I can't even comprehend what's going on half the time. And so Vinny's up there for me. I would say in that old school category, Gad is probably another that I don't play anything like him. It's not like anybody's like, oh, give me the Gad. You're a Gad guy. I'm not. But every time I hear him, I'm just like, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
He did that in a generation before all the Pro Tools and all the stuff that that we record with now.
Yeah.
And it's just so cool and slick and did it on, songs that were pop songs and 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. So many cool parts like that. So,
and he just sounds like Gad.
Yeah.
You hear it. I hear him and I go, even on records where I didn't know, I was like, oh, that's gotta be Steve.
Yeah.
That has to be Steve Gadd. I'm like, oh, look it up for sure. Yep. That's Steve Gadd playing with
that
Al
sound.
Di Meola or whatever.
Yeah. And his drum sound is so unique to him. I mean, just all of it.
So you really admired a lot of these drummers that seem to have versatile careers and really embody true professionalism.
Yes, but I will say, because of my punk rock years and wanting to play fast, I did come from an era where, Travis Barker and Trey Cool really put it on the radio that you could do cool stuff in songs and play fast and have chops. It was okay if it fit the song and that genre. And so there's tons of guys in the punk world, Brooks Wackerman was a huge one for me.
Yeah.
He was in Bad Religion when I was playing. He stood beside me on stage and watched me one time. And we kind of became friends on those Warped Tour dates. He referred me for a few bands to try out. And I just remember him standing there and he's like, man, your punk beat is about the most solid timing I've ever heard. And that's the single pedal, super fast.
That's fast.
And I said, thanks, man. I mean, I'm playing it to a click. And he goes, what? You're playing that to a click? I was like, you're Brooks. Like, you played on Avril Lavigne's record as well. Like, I know you play to a click. But he was like, with Bad Religion, he's like, we would never go to a click in this thing. And I know now that he's with Avenged, like, I'm sure they're all on major tracks and stuff.
Sure.
But he was so encouraging about it. And he's like, I've never seen anybody play the punk beat on a click like that. And so that was very...
That must have been sick to hear from one of your guys.
Hugely encouraging from a guy I really still look up to massively. And then the drummers for like Rise Against, Yuri from MXPX, Smelly from NoFX. Those are guys that like I don't expect anybody in Nashville to really know. I mean, punk is more mainstream than it used to be, but those are guys that could just blaze that stuff and play crazy fills. And
Yuri.
Yeah.
So
a machine.
So freaking fast. Yeah.
And so those guys were very influential on me playing that genre. And Travis Barker, he was the first guy you heard playing in that style that you're like, what in the world? How did you put all these drum corps chops into this?
For me, And I forget his name, Incubus.
Oh, great.
Jose.
Jose, yeah.
And, sometimes it's easy to get dogged at this age by people like, oh, you like Travis Barker? It's like, well, if you can play like him, go ahead.
Yeah.
I get his playing doesn't work for everything, but he's another guy. He's got a sound.
And he's still playing.
Yeah. And you'd know it. You'd hear it on a record and you go, yep, that's Travis. And that's like the first time you hear Carter from Dave Matthews.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You can't even fathom it. But every time it's him, you're like, that guy has a sound. Like, how do you get to that? I don't know, because I don't have what it takes to sit in a room for 8 hours a day and practice for 10 years. Like, that's, I think, how those guys really get there. And I hugely respect that. And it's like, I'm out playing gigs. I wish I had I love to study and practice, but I'll practice an hour and I'm like, this is good. I cannot sit for 4 or 5 hours. I've just probably never done it in my life. And that's how those guys get to virtuoso levels. And I don't have that side of me. But I love music, and I'm like, I'd rather play songs, and I'd rather play with people.
Yeah, you're getting hired to
and
play.
to me, that's more rewarding. But that's not to say I can't do it. I wish I could. I wish I had a little, I wish I could take 6 months and practice every day. But even if you gave me that time, I probably would squander it. Like, I probably don't have you have to have that separate switch in your brain that can just go, I'm going to be the greatest at something,
Yeah.
And I do not have that. But I can play songs, I can learn a record, and I know I can put it in the pocket, and that is,
dude, 100%,
keeps me working.
Man.
So
it's funny, I'm meeting you for the first time, but I've been, following you on social media, and I would say you definitely have a sound, and you're obviously a killer drummer.
Well, thanks.
But as a segue into,
I don't think that's obvious, but thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate
I want to talk about the Beat Lab, the studio. You touched upon that with the house, and which is cool. I didn't realize. I just assumed, because you see home studios, you assume that's the drummer's house.
Yeah,
but it's not always the case. I mean, you've done a really good job of also like developing your brand, your identity. You're posting videos from Broadway. Even you have like your kind of your word mark, your logo there.
That's actually my signature.
That's your signature.
Like that's how I sign, and that's
sick. Yeah.
And I was like, that's unique, so I'll just stick with that. And when I first put that on my drumsticks, I was like, oh, that's really like unique enough. I'm going to keep it around.
Yeah.
I used to have it on shirts back in the day, which I'm too old for that now. But I did like in my early touring days. Before like guys had social media and really had merch, I was just trying to figure out how do I make a living. And so I was selling them on my punk band. But the studio came about kind of that's why I bought the house. I walked in, I only looked at 2 houses. I'd never bought a house with my realtor. And I look in the garage and I go, this is it, I'll take the house. And he's like, well, do you want to see the bedrooms? I said, nope, I'm buying them for the garage.
Exactly, yeah.
And he's like, what are you talking about? I was like, this is going to be a studio. In his mind, it's like, in 10 years, this is going to be a studio. The day I closed on the house, I had my buddy that was building it start the renovation. The garage door was out 3 days later.
You don't even have your bathroom set up. It's like, no, studio's priority.
This is January 2020, and I am on a mission, and I've saved for this house.
That's what I got here.
This is 3 months before the pandemic hits, really, because I closed in January. And by the time we hit like March 20th or something, the studio was done, essentially enough to record in. So the timing was a huge blessing because everything shuts down. We're supposed to have this STAP European tour and gets canceled. I file for unemployment and I start recording. And I mean, I'm just learning at that point as far as engineering. That's the hardest part.
Yeah.
I had done sessions for sure at other studios, but now I'm trying to figure out this whole thing. And I had a little recording setup at my previous house where I was sort of getting the basics, but this is like where I really started. And I would say that's been a 6-year journey of just building it. And Lester has been the biggest encouragement to me. A lot of guys have, and different guys have come over and, helped me with something or tweak sound or go, try this on your room mics or whatever. But Lester was the guy that just build it a little bit at a time. Just, you get some money. He's like, you don't need all these snare drums. I have a huge collection, kind of like he does. Yeah. He's like, but just think at a time, maybe invest in a little studio gear. And if you make money on the studio, you put a little back into it and just keep thinking about it like that. Because, you can't jump in and spend 10 or 20 grand unless you just have the passive income or whatever. Sure. But so I was building it slowly, getting mics, getting preamps, figuring out how I wanted it to look. And I right out of the gate,
it's got a vibe,
and right out of the gate, I just I designed it because
so cool.
I did all the look because I said I want this to look cool on camera because we didn't know the home studio thing was going to take off that year because we didn't know the pandemic was coming. But every nice studio I'd been in that I could remember had stone walls somewhere. And I thought, I'm going to have a stone wall and people are going to think it's crazy. And everybody's like, oh, that's probably cushion behind you, right? Or, what's the company that does the cushion walls?
Audiomute?
Yeah, they look awesome.
Yeah.
And I was like, nope, mine's legitimately stone behind me.
Dude.
But every wall is a different angle and shape. One's got wood. One has huge panels, kind of like those all the way down. So they're all different angles. And I would say there's some magic in the room. Is it perfectly sound treated? No, but it is sound treated enough that I can play in the middle of the night and the neighbors don't complain. So there's a lot of stuff in there, but also I wanted a live room sound, and I wanted, we can all record a dry snare drum that sounds like it's in a bedroom, and I didn't want that. I wanted a high ceiling like we're in right here.
Yeah.
And that's what you need if you want rooms in there at all to get every snare drum. I like the sound of. I mean, unless it's John Mayer or something, but all the rock snares that are famous, I'm thinking they're big. They sound big. You've got to have a room for that. So that's why I did it. And most people who hire me, they either like my playing, know me from some project where they saw me on tour, or they've seen the videos and they go, I like the sounds you're getting. It's less and less important as we go to more standardized, everything's going to be sound replaced and you're going to lose your drum sounds. But I'd like to think lots of times my drum sound makes it into the mix, at least partially, with samples on it, but my snares blended in, my room mics are blended in.
Sure.
And so I just started doing projects. Some were crappy, some were good. And I've tracked some legitimate stuff in there now. I'm on Scott Stapp's record, his last one. I'm on the single that went to radio.
Nice.
Top 5 song tracked in my studio.
That's so cool.
And I'm like, that's a cool milestone. Yeah, and I had one track that I did with Phil X from Bon Jovi, which is also super cool. I got a tour with him randomly on this other gig. And the track was mixed by Chris Lord-Alge. And to me, that was
that's sick.
He's the icon of all these records, American Idiot, all these records that I love the sound of. He's my favorite mix guy. And that he did one track that I played on from my studio. And I sat at dinner and asked him about it, and I just said, hey, do you have any tips? And he actually remembered the track, and he had a couple things he said, so it was very cool to have that. And, most of the stuff I'm doing is not profile or on a label or going to be released by anything big. But I do a lot of worship records. I do a lot of country stuff. I do a lot of Americana, some rock stuff, some heavy rock stuff. Nothing metal. I don't play metal. And I'm not really. I did the newest Amber Pacific record there. A producer in town that I work with a lot on country. He came over and engineered, sitting in my studio, across the room, and we did that there. So that's the only legit punk I've done there. Yeah. But that was super fun as well.
How are these artists or songwriters finding you? Is it
mine's all social media? Literally, I'm not on any of the platforms really.
Fiverr.
I wish.
Other ones, yeah.
The problem is, and here's my hang up with it.
Yeah. Air gigs, right?
Is they're great and you could do them and you got to charge $75 to get out there. And I go, it's not really worth my time. Are enough people calling that I should pass on it? No, but still, if I'm going to spend a day or two on this song for $75, it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
And the problem is if you get on there, Jim Riley's on there for $75 or $100 or whoever, some big name guy, and they're like, well, why are they going to call me? Yeah. Or Marcus Finney's on there for any amount, and I go, again, how am I going to compete? I've just done mine through social media, and I wish there was a better way, and I wish I had a bigger following. I've tried to build this Instagram thing, and I just cannot get over
the hump.
That's
the perfect segue. Yeah, I mean, I
have been stuck at 23,000 for 5 years, and I cannot move the number.
Poor thing.
I'm just saying I cannot move the needle at all, no matter what I do.
It's going to shoot up.
I hope so.
We're basically influencers now.
I might get more from Facebook actually, because I get way
Really?
more
Okay.
interaction on Facebook, and it's funny because it's more boomer, older demographic.
Yeah.
But a lot of those people are the people who are going to hire me or
Yeah,
call
those people
me.
have money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not the young people.
They've had jobs for a long time.
Yeah, and it's mainly drummers on Instagram that follow me, so I love the support.
Right, yeah.
They're not hiring me, and most of them aren't professionals. They're just, a lot of them are just young drummers that follow me. So.
Yeah.
Which I'm thankful for that. But I've talked to younger guys. I mean, this week I was at lunch with a younger guy asking me all this, and I said, so how did you do this social media thing? Because you got a zillion followers. And he's like, you got to have a niche, and you got to have something funny, and it's got to take off. It's like a meme, like it's got to be something like that to explode. And I'm like, I don't have that, and I'm not trying to.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to become the guy that has a shtick, because I'm trying to be a professional working drummer, and I'm not knocking anybody who has the stick, because if you do, you can make money on that. Like the cowboy drummer, I don't know him,
Yeah.
Yeah, right,
but he's
right.
monetized it. Like
Yeah,
I
good on
respect the hustle, whatever he's doing.
Yeah, it's
he's
true.
got to be making a living.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do that, and I couldn't think of all those jokes, but
Yeah, exactly.
it's a 2025, 2026 like career option for a drummer that none of us are
Or
doing.
if you, I don't know if you're familiar with Aaron Paulson. He's a
Yeah.
Nashville drummer now, who's going to be on the show here soon. But he's a younger guy. He's a comedian. He's like basically a comedian drummer. Like absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
But has the chops. I mean, he's
Yeah.
a legit drummer. But he's made a brand of. Well, I'll send you some videos. It's
Yeah.
very unique.
I've just heard the name.
Skill
yeah.
maxing.
Skill maxing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just like
It's pretty. It's
You
honestly
know.
kind of sick. Him playing multiple parts. It's
yeah.
like
He's got like the drums that got glued to his hat and his head. And he's doing the cymbals and he's playing guitar. And
Crazy.
He's doing a snare. I mean, it's crazy.
simultaneously hilarious and incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like that's how this generation is. And he's making like mini like film like movies with some of this stuff.
I can't
These kids
imagine
just-
the
I feel like
hours
they
you
just
put
know
into
how to
that.
do all the video
Yeah.
editing, and
Yeah.
that's crazy.
How old are you guys?
I'm 32.
37.
I am 44. So
Right.
like, I feel like just being at a level where I can make a video and post, it's like, that's hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
have that pretty, time dialed down to my templates and stuff. But I'm like, younger guys, it's a breeze and they can
Yeah, right.
fly through it.
Yeah, I know.
How do you get the perfect Nashville kick drum tone? It starts with a lowboy leather daddy bass drum beater. This leather-faced beater occupies the sonic space between felt and wood beaters. It's punchy enough to cut through the mix on those 4-on-the-floor barn burners with the warmth you need for slow ballads. Okay, but who plays a leather daddy? Garrett Goodwin from Carrie Underwood's band uses one. Lee Bryce drummer Donnie Marple plays a pair. Walk down Broadway any night of the week and you're going to hear one. In Nashville, you can test drive a lowboy beater at Drumbox and grab one at Forks, Drum Supply, or Nelson's. Check out lowboybeaters.com to learn more.
Let's talk about that just quick. I mean, the consistency with your content and like the intentionality behind that.
I try to post consistently that I'm working, and you could watch any of my videos and go, I can play that. And I go, yeah, but I'm doing it on a gig, so that's why I post it. And that's the biggest thing I want people to see about my social media is it's real. I'm always playing.
real, yeah.
There's nothing
You're out
like,
there,
you're not
yeah.
seeing me quantize. It's like, here's me
Yeah.
playing. And yeah, it's a 10-second, 30-second, minute-long clip, but you see me in a lot of different settings, and that's what I want people to see. Like, I could hire this guy.
Yeah.
And I swear, every time I post, I did a session, I post about it. Almost every time I get somebody that's like, oh, hey, I need drums for a song.
Dude,
and
yeah.
and half the time I try to tell guys that, and they're like, well, I have nothing to post. I'm like, well, people forget you exist, and it's not because you're not a great drummer, because there are great drummers in town.
Yeah.
The problem is they remember somebody else because everybody's kind of ADD now, and everybody's on social media, and it's like, oh, Dango,
Exactly.
oh, yeah, he's working. I guess I could call him. So
Yeah.
I try to just sort of beat people out by hustle a lot of times. And I know I can play the stuff. I'm not going to post anything that's like way off the wall,
not
but
artificial or fake or anything.
it's always like I'm always playing music, so it's never. You're never going to see a video of me ripping, and partly because I can't really do it, and partly because I'm too critical of myself. Like, if I were Matt Garska, I would give you 20 videos in a row shredding, but I can't do it. So why would I try to do that? It's not my brand, and I can't sell that, and nobody's going to hire me for that. But if you're like, oh, this guy played on Broadway this week, and he played on a cruise, and he's doing a session, and here he is teaching, I'd go, well, this guy has something to offer,
Yeah,
It's,
you're just
it's real life.
documenting. You're just documenting the reality
Yeah.
of your life, but in a smart and again very like on brand kind of way.
Trying to
it's-
trying to keep it that way, and sometimes it's
yeah.
annoying because you wish,
Yeah.
like sometimes you play different with the camera, and I hate that because you want to be
Yeah.
in the moment and not think
yeah,
about
no, I
it.
hate that too.
But what I do is I record sessions while they're happening. I never go back and make a video playing my song after
Okay,
the
so
fact.
so you just
So-
you walk into the lab and then just Hit
Well,
record, not
I
think
don't
about
do
it?
that. I'll play through the song a few times. When I think I
Sure,
have it
when you're
down,
ready to do- yeah,
I'll
yeah.
record a couple takes
Yeah, yeah.
and have them on video because I never want to go back. If I'm really playing inspired, I'm not going to remember the fills exactly, and I don't want to have to relearn it and make sure everything lines up.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to mime a video. Like, that's extra time. If I just, here's a clip, the song I actually played, and either I know the artist won't care, I'll attach it and post it. Because when you hear it with music, it's so much more enjoyable than like,
Yeah.
here's just drums.
Right.
Like, I want people to hear that I have good drum sounds, but I want them to know I can play in the context of whatever the song is. So I'll usually do that, or I'll pull the vocals and just have it be instrumental if I think it's going to be something that I don't want to,
Yeah.
rock the boat, or it's a label thing or whatever. You can't do it in that setting. I didn't post any videos recording for Stap stuff, but after the fact, I kind of could go back and do it. But then you run into copyright, you line up the song with it, and
Yeah.
they pull your video. Like, that's a whole thing too. So,
Yeah.
but usually it's like I'm doing all these indie projects. So if it's a country thing or Americana or whatever, I just put the song on there. And most artists are like, well, it's good business for them because they're getting
Yeah.
just more exposure through another group of drummers or whatever.
Cross-pollination. or
Yeah,
whatever.
that's how I see it.
That's smart.
Like, why wouldn't you
really
want
smart, yeah.
your music in as many places as you can get it?
That's right.
What's cool, like, in terms of like our generation, well, I guess me being the youngest, I mean, I guess I grew up sort of with social media, but not like from a young age. Not growing
None.
up with it. Yeah, no, you guys aren't old, yeah. But that's cool. You've recognized the value, and like you gotta have to play the game, but you've made it work for you. You've made it very efficient, and like you said, you're not trying to be anybody else because there's so many different personalities and drummers out there. But
Yeah.
you've been able to kind of stand out in that way.
Well,
I think is really
and definitely
valuable.
trying.
Yeah.
Thank you. I will say I really try to encourage younger guys, new to town, or players who are just struggling. Like, you got to be yourself. Play the gig, learn the parts, be a pro, make sure your gear's great, be on time. Like, all that stuff's basic. But you've got to be yourself. And, for the longest time, I was trying to like fit into a more hipster thing or a more authentic country thing or more whatever, like. Just, you see a drummer who's super influential on you, and like Aaron Sterling moves to town, and half the drummers in town are kind of playing like that. And I love what he does, but I can't physically do it. I don't hold my sticks like that. I don't move like that. My body doesn't really do that thing, and I don't sound like him. So yes, I can take influence, but at the same time, I got to go, what do I do? How did I come up? What are my influences? I'm a huge fan of Marcus Finney and love how he plays. I just don't sound like that, and I can take influence from him, but I can't be him. And so
good,
at the end of the day, why not try to be the best version of yourself and be pro and learn the part and be able to play the record? If you overplay, you're not going to probably last too long. But if you can learn the part and sound like yourself, like, that's the goal. And there's enough jobs out there that like we can all be working and doing something and playing with other players and being ourselves. So that's what I encourage people, like, figure out how to be yourself on the gig, because you're gonna be way more comfortable and less likely to be, to get fired. And sure, if you go into a gig and they dress a certain way, yeah, do that. That's not crazy.
Yeah.
But don't necessarily go out for something that's so out of your league that you're, I go out for a gospel chop gig and get butthurt that I don't get it. Like, I'm not the guy for it. It's just not how I came up.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's the same reason I'm not trying to, if Slipknot's doing auditions and they call, I'm like, I'm out, guys. I don't have 10 years to learn one song. I just can't do it. Like, it's not my thing. It's not where I come from. So know that there's guys and girls who are better at certain things and you're good at what you do. So figure out what you do and then still branch out, be versatile, but find your lane of, for me, it's like I'm doing rock and country and worship and Americana, and they kind of all fit into my bubble of pocket and groove. And then if it's technical, then it's maybe punk rock. But everything else is very non-technical. Worry about the feel and worry about the song. And if you can play for the song, like, that keeps me working most of the time. But that's in like my lane. I can stay in that. I'm not trying to go crazy out of that.
Yeah.
It reminds me of, I think Dolly Parton said it, or at least it was attributed to her, was figure out who you are and then do it on purpose.
Oh, that's good.
I really like that.
That's
First time
really good.
recording Dolly on this podcast.
Yeah,
Interesting.
dude.
Didn't think it would happen.
That's heavy too.
Maybe Salvador, but not Parton. Yeah.
Well, I can see why you're getting hired to do some of these in-person, master classes at colleges. I mean, just the way you talk, you're very, again, well-spoken, very like inspirational.
Man, thanks.
So I appreciate it. Yeah, man.
You've heard of Drum Supply, but you gotta see their shop. It's a drum shop experience like no other. They're packed with all the gear a working drummer needs, and so many parts, noise toys, and accessories. It's a toy store.
curated cymbals, kits, and snares, the hands-on percussion room is nuts. And their custom shop work is fast and affordable. Andy and the guys know their stuff, and they're ready to help. And the big news? They've just moved to an awesome new location near the corner of East Trinity Lane and Dickerson Pike. Still in East Nashville, just a couple miles from their old spot, the all-new drum supply is twice as big, featuring a dedicated cymbal room, a lesson space, and even more drum gear than ever. Go see the new drum supply shop for yourself. Now open 11 to 5 at 2211 Dickerson Pike and online at drumsupply.com.
Kind of related to all this also, let's talk about some of the endorsements and how you've kind of been able to keep those. Again, longevity, not just from a playing standpoint, but obviously you kind of know what brands are looking for, and as it relates to content with the studio as well, like how have you navigated that arena?
So I love the endorsement questions in general, and I get it a lot from younger guys or older guys. Yeah. And I'm always encouraging buddies who are like pros on big gigs. I'm like, do you have a deal with them? And no, I didn't think to ask. I'm like, well, you're playing arenas every night. Like, why would you not make the call? Yeah. And so many guys don't. And I have been intentional about it. I just saw it as branding early on. Like, I want to work with these companies, and I had goals and dreams. And so I just pursued companies early on. And the best advice I got, this is from Cyrus Beluki from Newfound Glory. And I was on my first Warped Tour.
That's not a name I hear enough, man. He's great.
And he's a buddy now. So I've seen him this year on tour multiple times. And he said to me, he goes, this is pre-social media. So go back to 20 years, 2004. He's like, man, when you're on tour, always send pictures to your companies. And I was like, but they're not going to care. He goes, doesn't matter. Always send pictures. You wouldn't believe how many artists don't. And he goes, you see me in Modern Drummer, and I'm not a good drummer. And he was super humble. And he's like, I just, for the first couple Newfound records, wanted to be Travis Barker until I figured out what my thing was. Yeah. He said, but I always sent stuff. And so I remembered that, and it just echoed with me.
With you,
yeah. Because, I asked Chester and Brian about endorsements back in college, and they're like, don't worry, when you're ready, the companies come to you. And that's true. It is true. But it's a different world now with social media. But I started 20 years ago being, I'm going to be proactive, and I'm always going to push the companies and send them stuff. And then by default, they end up using you more. And I was in ads in Modern Drummer for Meinl cymbals early on. And then when I signed with Peisty, I've been with them 18 years now. I've been in a bunch of ads for them and been at NAMM on one of the big blow-up pictures. I didn't even know it. And a buddy sent me, he goes, how do you do this, buddy?
That's sick.
And I said, I don't know, man. I just sometimes luck out. Yeah. But I was filming a DVD at the time. I did an instructional DVD in 2008. And so I had really good video quality stuff and content before there was, cell phones really and stuff. Yeah. And so I was sending companies videos and pictures. And so they were using that stuff. And I've just always been about that. So I'm not saying every week I send, but every major tour. So if I do 2 tours a year, I'm sending content to everybody twice a year. And if I play a Warped Tour or a massive, Welcome to Rockville festival, I probably did 10 festivals this year that were like ridiculous. And that's a blessing because I'll go 5 years and won't play anything really that size. But when you do, make sure you have some content. And then make sure you're playing your gear. And that's another thing. Yeah. I fly my cymbals everywhere because Peisty are hard to come by. Yeah. And I've flown them to every country in the world. And I really wanted to play DW because of Josh Freese, but I wanted to sign with them because they're everywhere. Yeah. And I thought, I'll get DW kits everywhere. And so for me, I make sure I'm playing them and make sure I have photos. And don't be lazy. Like a lot of guys are like, well, I don't want to carry my cymbals or whatever. I go, well, then you're going to have photos playing in front of 10,000 people that you can't really use.
How much do you really value this relationship, this endorsement?
So I think about it like that.
Kind of the whole point.
And people go, that's way over the top. And I go, is it? Because,
not at all.
For example, when I send photos to Peisty, I send it to 5 people in the office. Kelly Peisty's on there. She's the namesake. Yep. She's the head of the company now. She always responds, thanks, Dango. We love you being out there. When I call DW, everybody in the office knows who I am. Oh, Dango's on the line. And that's the other perk of it, because if you stay active with the company, send them stuff, talking to them, going to NAMM's beneficial for that, even though you debate, is it worth the trip? But always just being known with them, because you're not the biggest artist ever. And yeah, they've got Eric Moore, or they got Gad or whoever, but they need the working class guys like you and me. And so I still help them sell a product. They're going to remember me. They're going to take care of me. Then when something breaks on tour or I need something, they always go the extra mile. Yeah. And I can't say enough about Evans. I've been 20 years with them. Mm-hmm. Steve Loebmeyer is the dude that signed me, and he's like head of AR.
Let's get those drum heads behind you.
I believe it. And now, if you're new to the company, you don't talk to him. You talk to a new guy, different guy on the totem pole.
Yeah.
But he's been my dude forever. And so with Evans, I will bend over backwards to make sure I'm playing their heads everywhere. And, I get people are Remo, people are Evans, people are Aquarian even sometimes. But play with
We don't talk to those people.
No. But it's like, play what you like. Guys are always like, well, why do you play this? And I go, I love it, first of all. And I played this before I had to deal with them. So
And that's
the
key thing
street
too,
cred,
yeah,
because
there's some. I mean, I personally know some guys. I'm not going to name any names, but it's evident to companies also that when you're just shopping for a deal,
and you jump ship. People
Like,
do it all the
sometimes
time.
it is. You're allowed to, as creatives. Okay, maybe in this point of your life. I mean, like Todd Strickman was my favorite drummer of all time. Long time pro. So I work for Pro Drums here in Nashville, so I can very much relate to all what you're saying. But he's obviously switched out of that, and like that was a bummer. But he's allowed to do that.
It's crazy because you
those
just
things happen.
You think of him with Pearl indefinitely.
Yeah, I mean that's a more extreme example, but like
Yeah.
But yeah, try to stick to what you're playing and play even if you weren't being endorsed to play it. Obviously, is huge.
And I get sticks and heads. It's like, you might only own one kit in your career, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Sticks and heads you're going to go through. If you have a chance to work with a company and they're not what you play, yes, give it a chance. That's why I even went with Meinl Cymbals. They pursued me. It was my early Warped Tour years. Our band was crushing it. And they said, we're going to put you in these ads in Modern Drummer. And it was like Aaron from Under Oath. It was Zach from Paramore.
Yeah.
It was Paul from Silverstein and me. And I'm thinking like, how am I in this ad with these dudes all in these huge bands? But it was timing. I was on Warped Tour and I was sending stuff. And so, but they dropped me randomly over email, which was really bizarre. One of my weirdest endorsement scenarios. So I was only with them 2 years. And I'd grown up playing Zildjian and Paiste, so I was always like into both. And so when I had the chance to go Paiste, I thought, well, this is again what the dudes play that I look up to. It's a unique sound. It's different. And here's the other thing I do with companies is I learn the product. I'm a big gear guy, so I know what all their stuff does. And whether you love or hate it doesn't matter. I learn about it so that I can tell people. So Evans, for example, puts out a new line of the heads this year, next year, whatever. I order everything they put out, ever. And I try it so I can tell you what it does. And it may not be what I like or what I use for anything, but I can go, this might work for you. And then when a buddy comes and says, hey, I'm thinking about Evans, or I'm thinking, do you know a head that would work for this? I go, well, I know Evans has got this. Reno has something kind of similar.
So smart.
Yeah, and that's not everybody, and a lot of people don't love the gear thing like I do. I nerd out on stuff.
Obviously, every company's a little bit different, and like, but yeah, you are literally an extension of the brand, more or less. You're an influencer. You're expected to, like for what I do, I work a lot with like our band orchestra musicians. And we do a lot with our clinics. Artists giving out or presenting clinics throughout the country, very like educational type stuff, and we provide financial reimbursement and payment for them to be able to talk about the gear that they're using on stage. Like, why are you picking that Pearl Philharmonic snare drum? Yeah. And they need to know that, not every nut and bolt, but like they should be able to talk about the product. It's,
and a lot of
kind of part of it.
A lot of players don't care, or that's not their thing. They just play whatever. Or it's like, well, I play this because Steve Jordan does, or whatever, and that's totally cool. Or I like Gretsch because Steve Ferrone, or whatever. But if you find something you like and play it for a reason, and if you get to know your gear, I think that's what's cool. But I also try to encourage guys, like, find your thing. Don't play what I play just because I do. Yeah. Figure out what works for you, because if somebody's who are so music snob about, well, this sucks, or I only like this. I'm like, yeah, but you play different than me. And all of us hit a snare drum differently. So depending on the weight your stick and how you hit it, and if you're playing metal or wood drum and how you tune, like all that affects how it's going to sound. Yeah. And so you got to work what's comfortable for you. And I've played, I guess the kind of gigs I've been playing so long are usually loud, and I'm able to do a hard backbeat. I'm not playing small rooms most of the time. And so that's, affected the way I tune and how much I muffle and how long I've been on in-ears and how long, you think about all that stuff. It's not just how does the snare drum sound best in this room. It's like, well, that's great, but in a big, if you're playing in an arena, you maybe can't leave it that ringy. Or same with the kick drum. Like, you might like it open, but if you're going to play an arena, you probably have to have a pillow or something. Otherwise, your subs are going to go crazy. So you start tuning and thinking like that. And I play my drums probably a little more dead at times than sound great to my ears, but it's because I know they sound great out front, and I know I get used to the in-ear knowing like, okay, that's too much. That's gonna send off a front of house guy or whatever. So I think the more experience you have, you do that stuff, because there's always the purist who's like, the drums only sound best in this room and I have to hit it this way with the 5A and it's got to be an Ambassador single ply with no tape and no gel. And it's like, yes, but that doesn't work every time.
Yeah.
And you do it long enough, you realize no one way works every time. You got to change it for the room, the song, the vibe, the artist, whatever. So
Inflexibility is death. Yeah.
So on the companies, I've been with Evans 20 years, Peisty 18, DW maybe 12, Humes&Berg forever, maybe 10. And ProMark I've been with over 10 now. I was with Vic Firth 9 years. They're amazing sticks. Yeah. And when Evans bought ProMark, they were really encouraging me, like, would you consider? I was like, I don't think you have anything as good as Vic Firth. And I was very honest about it. And I was on tour with a band called Red at the time. That was a big Christian rock band. And they just kept sending me sticks, like, try this. And I thought, I cannot believe any company would care this much about what I'm playing because I'm not one of your big dudes. Yeah. And that was the moment I was like, I'm going full on with ProMark. Like, there's no way they're going to let me down if they care this much. So I've been with them, over 10.
Yeah, they're the best. I know a lot of those
12 years now. Yeah. And they've kept getting better on how they make stuff. Their quality control
I just
is great.
bought the new drum key at Drum Supply.
It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, so cool.
See, the day I saw it was out, I ordered one and I did a video right away because I was like, if somebody buys it because of me, I'm doing my job.
Well, they're marketing geniuses also. They know what they're doing. So
And this is a different takes on, you guys could have different views as well. Yep. On endorsements, I got to the place in my career I was like, I want to be a small fish in the biggest ponds out there because of touring internationally and having drums everywhere. Like I did a small custom company. I did Shine for a while and they were like in that early SJC Truth era custom drums. Yeah. I had crazy finishes and I had an acrylic kit with like our logo on it. I mean, really cool stuff for a kid. But like, do they hold up to DW? No, they just don't. And I don't think a single SJC does either. And if you play that and love it, then do it. That's great. Like, it's just my opinion. It doesn't even matter. But I got to the place where I was like, I want to be with the biggest companies I can that I love. Even though I'm a small guy there, I go, to me, that's like another rung on the ladder of just career goals of stuff I care about. But if you get a chance to play no-name brand sticks and they're giving you a great deal, like, do that. Because if you got a chance, like, there's no shame in doing either route. It's just I got to the place where that's what I was shooting for.
Yeah. Hey, drummers, are you worried about losing your hearing? Did you know noise exposure can cause permanent hearing loss? Dr. Jason Baker with Music City Audiology provides mobile concierge services to musicians in Nashville and surrounding areas. That's right. He is 100% mobile and will come to you. If you need ear impressions, custom in-ear products, ear cleaning, hearing tests, or information about protecting your ears, he's your guy. Music City Audiology cares about drummers and wants to help you maintain your most valuable tools, your ears. Visit MusicCityAudiology.com to book your consult today. That's MusicCityAudiology.com.
Good question. Sorry, I know I'm going to talk about all this stuff.
You're like literally an ideal guest.
It's just the stuff I'm passionate about, obviously. I care, and it's like I want to pass it on. And some people are going to listen and some aren't, but it's like if you encourage somebody and change somebody's view or just inspire them to go, I never thought about it like that. Like then you go, this whole thing's worth it because some drummer in town's going to hopefully get something new and just either change their attitude or thought process or how they go into a gig or whatever it is in their system.
Well, if just the smallest change, when you look at that over the course of like 10 years, that ends up being a huge course shift ultimately. Yeah. So again, it's just getting a chance to give them that just a little nugget, like, hey, just take this and just see what happens in 10 years if you just think about it this way. Just a little bit, just 1% better, 1% clearer.
Speaking of 1% better, so you as a drummer, you mentioned like posture is something you've been working on. What is something currently this year, maybe drumming wise, that you're just in the back of your head, something that you want to improve upon or something that you're trying to get towards?
Very much trying to grow on molar technique and improve my right hand. Still, I use too much arm in my hi-hat, and it comes from playing rock and watching rock drummers and seeing the visual side of it. And I twirl and I do some other stuff on some gigs, but trying, Brian, my teacher from college that I've been studying with again, Brian Fullen's been really trying to push me. Think about why you're practicing keeping this here and using just this. And I'm like, oh, that's so foreign to not move any of this or get any more action. And he just said, the more relaxed you are, the more fluid you are. So I'm always thinking how to get more fluid, less stiff. A lot of guys watch my playing and say you're stiff, and I'm like, should have seen me 10 years ago because I'm way smoother now than then and 20 years ago. So that's always a work in process. Like, be a hard-hitting backbeat guy. And I think a lot about on the road. I was talking about thinking differently on how I play a gig like Hawthorne Heights. I'd go into it the same way I'd go into if I could play for, I don't know, Post Malone or Morgan Wallen or whoever. I would still think, play the songs, make it feel good, consistent snare hits. Like, I'm always thinking like recording. Hit the snare perfect every time. You don't, you're going to miss some. It's going to be slightly off. But that's, you hear a pro drummer and they're playing a basic 2/4, but everything just feels good. You're on the money. You're hitting that snare in the right spot. You're thinking about your hi-hat dynamics of light or upbeats. I'm always trying to teach my students, think about mixing yourself. So you're turning your hi-hat's too loud. Always turn that knob down, which means this has to come down. So how do you keep that kick and snare like a machine with feel, but as close to a machine as you can make them? And then you can play your toms louder because they're quieter than cymbals, but you bring your cymbal volume down. So I think about all that stuff and just constantly trying to grow, because if you're playing with adrenaline in front of 20,000, 30, 50,000 people, you go, how do I sit back and relax but keep the adrenaline? Because you got to have the energy and you want the rock show, but you don't want to rush and you don't want to play too many fills and you don't want to miss a kick or a snare because you're all jacked up. So it's like, how do you lay that back? And that's how I try to think as a player and just keep improving. And there's so many little things. I mean, I'm always trying to work on rudiments and do more rudiment stuff, and teaching's good because it helps me. I like charting because it makes me better. I'm always charting for like church or like something where I got to learn a song last minute. I don't really have time to run it. So I'm charting it and then going, okay, better have charted this right because I'm going to have to play it tomorrow on the fly. So I do that. That's something I always try to improve on. Tuning. I mean, I love noodling in the studio and trying to figure out like what'll sound better on a track.
I mean, your entire tones you're getting from the studio sound great, but the toms are always so good.
What's funny about that is if you hit them in the room, you would not love them.
Really?
Yeah. And I had to come to a place of peace with that. Every tom sound I love is not ringing for 5 minutes. And a tom that you hit that rings for 5 minutes sounds great, but you put it on recording and it just does not do that. Yeah. And so that's when guys walk in my room, they're always surprised because the toms are pretty dead, but they're still live enough in the room and they have that really So that's one thing.
I'm sure the new SE electronic mics probably help too.
Yeah.
Old plug there, right? Is that your newest endorsed?
It might be. I'm probably on like 4 or 5 years with them. I was pretty early for a Nashville guy with them. Yeah. But they have been great and they have so many options. So I was with Audix before that, and I loved how Audix have like pre-EQ'd, everything's scooped already, and it sounds pretty dialed without you having to do much, because I don't know a lot about EQ. Like, I've learned a lot, but I'm always like going to templates and going, okay, what's the rock setting for this tom? What's the pop setting? And then I try them all and I listen. I go, okay, I like this one. I don't know why, but I do.
To me, they all sound the same. I'm like,
so
I trust that it's the right one.
That's how I do it. But I have experimented, and I'm the only guy I know doing this, and I'm sure there's others, but I do kick mics on my toms, and that's part of it as well, because it gives them a little more beef. And I started doing that with Audix, which a lot of guys have done with Audix. That D6 is a great floor tom mic, but it's like, why not put it on a rack tom as well? So I used to do that, and then when I switched to SC, I was like, I'm going to try their kick mics on all the toms. They look a little bit goofy, but if you don't think about it, you really don't notice. And so that's part of it. I have 3 different sets of overheads from them. The ribbons are awesome. But I also have the Rupert Neve ones that sound, that's what I'm using most of the time. Those are the most expensive ones that I have. And then there are 4400s, which is like their 414 mic. That is just a great overhead. I use that live with Hawthorne. And they're not, it's like, they might be 500 for the pair. Like, they're just super reasonable. So that's why I use them live, because those Neve ones are like $2,000. I don't want to take those out on the road.
Yeah, for real.
But all that to say, it's just, for me, it's just been a process of continuing to mess with it and dial. And we all like different sounds, so that's the thing. In your mind, like, a good drum sound could be a Chris Lord-Alge snare drum, it could be Guns N' Roses, or it could be Led Zeppelin, or it could be Meshuggah. And you start going, those are really all different sounding. Or John Mayer. And they're all great sounding snare drums, but you got to think context.
It's the St. Anger snare. That's the correct answer.
Hey,
I saw a video of that today.
Some people will die on the hill if it's amazing, because it's like stood out as the test of time. The ones, do you love it?
I am not mad at it.
I'm
one of those guys. I'm like, you know what? People are still talking about it. It did a thing.
Can you imagine if you had a snare drum that talked about? Like, that's
right.
But after the Black Album, I just feel like they couldn't beat the drum sounds of the Black Album.
That's true.
And I love the Nevermind Nirvana, like that. that drum sound to me is awesome. Do you guys have favorite snares? Because there's a bunch.
Well, I'm partial. My baby is the because our custom shop here in Nashville, we do like all of our Music City custom branded snares. So I got to pick out my own solid shell walnut 6.5 by 14.
Heck yeah.
Custom inlay. I picked out the shell, like the raw shell.
That's very cool.
Special. And my boy Ron DePew, like he would be sending me photos as he was making the drum. So I have a special connection to it. But it sounds killer. I use that for all the country rock gigs.
Most guys will never get that experience. That's awesome.
Yeah, special. But
I got three in my mind. Well, one is the Noble and Cooley Alloy Classic that I have. I love it. The only reason I don't use it is it cannot stay in tune. I need to get some sort of lug.
I feel that. Same with mine.
Brutal. Do you use lug locks or anything like that?
I do. My
Yeah.
Noble and Cooley, the strainer always comes loose. It's an 80s one.
Yep.
And always does. But anyways, go on. So what else?
I love that one. I have a Gretsch Rosewood that I bought from Luke Sumner because he was like, it's too dry. And on occasion, I like to play a lot of notes in a small space.
on occasion.
So it's perfect for that.
And
dabble?
Yeah, I dabble.
What depth?
I want to say it's 5.5. I'm trying to remember right now, blanking. But I love that snare. It's the right amount of dry for me. And then my dream snare is the gold-rimmed Sonor Steve Smith signature that I played in Forks one time.
Nice.
And I was like, when I think of a fusion snare drum sound,
That's it.
It is that exact sound. I'm like, oh, that's the sound of the thing in my brain. And it was gone the next time I went in there. It was $1,500. I was like, I can't really just throw this down right now. I kind of want. I could have, but it would have been an argument.
Exactly. Yeah,
I'm like
the car ride home.
Yeah, babe, I really needed that because you just don't understand how
You
good
wouldn't
this
get
sounds.
it, bud.
It was on sale for $1,500. That doesn't work either. Yeah.
But I would say those are the most meaningful for me right now.
That's awesome.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. Back to the mics real quick. I mean, I've heard of people using the floor tom, kick drum on the floor tom. I never heard kick drum on the toms. I'll have to try that out.
Yeah, that's just and some of the brands have there's just a little more low in the mic, even if it's the same mic, the condenser, whatever, or the frame's bigger, and so sometimes it has more low. So I just say experiment if you got the mics. I mean, I tried the overheads that were like those on the toms.
Yeah.
The kick ones and the regular size ones, and they all work. And if you know how to EQ, you can get a good sound out of all of them. I don't know that much, so it's like I'm really just going through templates and trying when I put different mics on.
Are you doing kick in, kick out? You have one mic?
Yeah, I go back and forth. Depends what I'm tracking because I've got the flat one, and I actually love the clicky for rock stuff if I'm in a big setting and with their, like I always think of the Shure 91, but whatever SEs is called, that's what I use on the road with Hawthorne. And if we did like the Amber Pacific record, I used it because we had fast stuff in there. But most of the time, I just do the kick in the hole, and I do a sub kick out here. Mm-hmm. And I've got the Solomon one that's...
Yeah, I have that one, yeah.
And I never use it, but occasionally, I send it to mixers, and it's like, some guys like, I just love this, this sub. And so I'm always adding room mics and different stuff. And some people will be like, I just love this one room mic. And you send it, and half the time nobody uses it, but it's like I'm giving them options. And I, when I'm doing my own mix, I kind of mix everything in there how just sounds good to my ear. So that's, I feel like, how you learn. It's just tough because we didn't grow up engineering, and you would have been the closest doing it at your age, but we didn't grow up with social media. Nobody was recording themselves. So in college, it wasn't even talked about. Like, you're going to have to know how to mic a kit. It's like, no, I'm going to play the drums. And now every kid grows up. It's like, well, if you're going to play, you're going to have to know how to mic the kit and record and put it in GarageBand. And then you're going to have to put it on Instagram. And it's like, kids now know so much more about engineering than we do.
That's sort of understood,
But then with them, you often have to say, okay, you got to get out of your room because you've played in your room for 10 years and done videos, but you got to go play with people if you want to learn how music works because it's a whole different thing.
It's like backwards, right? It's like we've kind of more or less grown up with the more like normal like personality traits and like how to just be a human in a community and then all the other stuff we're learning social media and had all these other skill sets of tracks now and
Yeah.
electronics. And now like the younger generation, that's all good. That's all easy for them.
Yeah.
But now it's like, as you said,
But relating to people.
Be in a scene and,
We've talked to people on this show where they're like, well, I'm playing for an artist who has, billion kajillion followers on TikTok, and I played, this is post them having that number, whatever that is. I played their first show with them. Like, that's unthinkable.
That is crazy.
yeah.
It's unthinkable. I mean, it's a different world than what we grew up in.
That's shout out to my dear friend Ryan Beidler, who's playing with Maddox. He's like one of my closest buddies in the world, and
we
he's
had him
literally
right. We released this episode as he broke his arm there. So glad to see he's back out there.
That day I was on the road with Hawthorne, and he texted me and said, I still have the text, whatever it is, but it was like, I fell, I broke my arm. Can you fill in the next 2 weeks? This is not a joke. And so I was out on the road, and I looked at the stuff, and I was like, I'm leaving for a legit 6-week tour right after that ends. And so I just said, man, I will totally do it for you, and I think it'd be a huge honor. And I said yes, and then they ended up going with somebody else. But I was like, for Ryan, I would definitely do it. And it was a huge opportunity. I mean, he's crushing on that tour. That kid's doing awesome.
Great, young, 16 years old.
But it was one of those where I really had to think about it, because I was like, I used to say yes to everything, and I'm thinking, if I do this 2-week thing and then I'm gone for 6 weeks, that is really hard on a family. Mm-hmm. And they can easily get somebody else to do it. If I was the only person, that'd be one thing. But also, it's not like that's not a gig that's gonna, that I'm gonna play down the road. It'd just be like I'm helping a brother out. So I really had to factor that one as well because of that. And then it then it was out of my hands, which is often the case. So somebody calls you and they're like, could you do this? And you say yes, and then they get somebody else. I mean, that happens quite a bit.
They got our boy MJ actually on that game. MJ. So it's small world here.
But amazing to see Ryan's back, and he's ready, and he's rehearsing this last week, and I just can't blame his recovery. It's been huge.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about family. No kid yet for me, though. We're trying to do that. So say a prayer for your boy.
Yeah, congrats. It's going to happen.
Yeah, that's what
I can't imagine anybody wants to have kids and doesn't. Yeah, it's so hard. It's just such a journey to have kids, and if you want to have it, I just can't see why God wouldn't allow it to happen. I know it happens to people, but you guys are going to have it.
Well, hey, I'll take it. That's what I'm praying for every day.
Go ahead and have your kids on this podcast.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Anyways, go ahead.
They're all going to hate drums. They'll be like, no, I'll never be on your podcast. As you said, you're like, well, if I do this 2 weeks and then I do another 6 weeks, that's hard on a family. So how do you stay in touch with and continue supporting and how do you stay connected with them when you're on the road? How do you balance that?
Not super well, honestly, but I stay connected with my wife pretty well. This is where technology is great as far as text, FaceTime, calling. Try to do all those every day. It's usually like a general text my wife all day. I try to text the kids here and there. We have a college and a high school, and they both have phones, so I can text them. Our daughter's turning 20, and she's like the best about texting me if I'm on the road. Like, hey, we miss you. Thank you for being out there and doing what you do. Like, she's just really appreciative. That's cool, and that means a lot because we've only been a family 2.5 years. So the little guys are 11 and 13, and they don't have phones yet. And so, I'll see them on FaceTime or something. But when I'm gone, I feel like I'm out of it, and it sucks. Like, it's just not ideal scenario. And Amber, my wife's been really supportive, and she just said, when we got married, I said, look, I'm giving this my best. We're doing this. I'm going to be the best dad I can be, but please don't ask me to give up this career. And she was just like, well, why would you? I wouldn't want you to give it up. And I just said, well, my first marriage, that was a decade, it was just always a struggle to be gone, just always a battle. And Amber she just was like, well, look, they haven't had a dad around for 8 years, really. So if you're here half the time and you give it your all half the time, that's going to be way better than they're used to. And I'm not saying that to slam their dad at all. I'm just saying they divorced a long time ago, so hasn't been actively a lot in their lives. And so all that to say, it's like I'm the guy here now, and I'm trying to make the difference and trying to give it my best. And I feel convicted about it. Like, I need to spend more time with them. And I work so much. That's the downside. And I think they're proud of me. I know Amber's proud of me. It's like, and she's thankful I'm providing. And we've been able to have her quit her job and be a stay-at-home mom, which she'd been a single mom for 8 years and worked full time. And since Kylie, who's 20, was born, she's worked full time until this year. So
Wow.
I'm like, you've never been a stay-at-home mom in 20 years. Like, we got to change that. So we've been doing that this year, and that's definitely a struggle financially. But at the same time, we go, it's worth it if we can get by because she's going to be home. The boys' grades have gotten better. Like, attitudes have improved.
All those residual
yeah, we're
effects,
starting to see the, more family dinners and just things that are important to us and our values, and us as Christians trying to raise these kids to have values and understand right and wrong and believe whatever they're going to believe, but at least know they came from a home where they were loved and presented with the truth, and this is how we want to raise them. So that's what we're doing. But it is, I just feel bad saying it because it's like, I know I say I'm making time for my kids and I know I don't make enough because I work so many times. But also I do a lot of late gigs, and we've decided it's better than 6 to 10 because I can be home for family dinner.
Yeah.
I can leave at 9. The little two are going to bed.
Yeah, they're sleeping. Yeah.
But then you're coming in at 3 or 4 and, trying to not wake my wife and the dog. And I'm usually good and just slide into bed, but it's still like it's not ideal. But then I look at where we were when I was single and when she was single, and I go, well, we've made our 2 lives work. So
Yeah, doing the best you can.
yeah, we're doing the best we can. And I can't praise her enough on the being accepting of this because it's a very unique career and very weird schedule both. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like, I know she loves me and she knows I love her and the kids, and I'm trying. So it's like through the ups and downs, it's like you just keep going and keep trying.
I like that answer.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah.
We covered a lot of stuff.
Covered a lot. Yeah, it's great. We can spend all night talking. This has been really good.
Well, thank you guys again.
Of course.
Super honored you'd have me on.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
It's been
Our
too
honor.
long, if anything.
Yeah.
These can be kind of more just quick, kind of rapid fire questions. Okay. Favorite meal in this city?
In this city, I'm going to go with, In-N-Out just arrived, and I'm actually a huge fan. But I'm really big on Edley's barbecue.
Okay.
Love it or hate it. Like, I
good.
friggin' love it.
Yeah. Big banana pudding fan?
Yes, but interestingly, Famous Dave's has better banana pudding. Whoa. And Edley's is really good, but Famous Dave's banana pudding is off the charts.
I'm gonna have to try that out.
I'm a barbecue guy.
Anytime I go to Edley's, I gotta get the banana pudding.
I do too. I'm not putting it down. I'm just saying.
Oh, well, that makes me want to try.
Second best banana pudding in town.
All right. Okay.
Good question. What else?
At least.
I was gonna do like just an absurd question. We'll get there.
Of course.
What nicknames have you had throughout your life?
Oh, some ridiculous ones. I'm just going to forego that and give you the how I got my name Dango because people always ask.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. Yeah.
I was in college at Belmont as a freshman. I was in a punk band. 2 of us had the same name, which is not disclosed at this time. And he started calling me Dango, and it stuck. And I was like, I hate it. Don't do that. He's like, yeah, nobody's going by that, though. You should go by that. Everybody will remember the ball drummer Dango. And I said, no. And I kid you not, by second semester, teachers, everybody called me Dango. So by the time I graduated, there was nothing else. Then I moved to Seattle and joined this punk band. My name's Dango on the records. I've literally only gone by this since I was 19.
Yeah.
So Dango is a nickname.
Well, I legally changed it eventually because I was like, this is too confusing. I want to have a bank account. I want my pay stubs. Yeah. So now you get your passport, everything. So it's been over a decade. I just legally added Dango to it because I didn't want to disrespect the parents and get rid of anything they named me. Right. And you couldn't, it's one of those, like, you can't make up the story. It just happened. I didn't try to come up with a nickname.
Wow. So it was the nickname.
Was a nickname, now it's legal.
It is now canonically your name.
Is that a word?
Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
What's the last book you read?
The only book I read consistently is the Bible, which I read every day.
That's a good answer.
I have read something recently, though. I read a parenting book that I cannot remember what it's called, and I hate to read. And I've really been trying this year to go, that's such a lame thing. Yeah. My parents are big readers and keep suggesting me, and leaders are readers and all this stuff, and I'm really trying. So the last thing I finished was something about being a dad, and it was actually really good.
Cool.
I could tell you more about the book than I could about the title. But
sure, yeah.
What's your least favorite vegetable?
Lima beans, without a doubt.
Okay.
There's no setting where they're good.
Yeah, you just can't put them in anything, really.
Fry them, they still suck. Doesn't matter, anything.
All right. You do a lot of road gigs. What's your go-to airport snack? Or on the plane, what are you chowing down on?
I would probably say like hot tamales for me.
Whoa.
And we didn't get into this at all, but I'm definitely like a Diet Coke addict. And so I'm always in every setting with a Diet Coke.
Okay.
Always. I don't drink coffee. I don't drink alcohol.
Yeah.
And I have very strong opinions about places with the best Diet Coke and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Where's the best Diet Coke?
Oh, it's hands down McDonald's. It's not even close.
You heard it here first.
My friend
McDonald's, okay.
Matt Bover, who's new to Nashville, incredible dude, amazing player. But every time I'm hanging with him, we'll like do the gym in the morning, and then he'll leave. Sometimes we'll get together and do drills afterwards. And anytime we're doing that, he'll be like, "Yeah, I'll be at your place, or we'll meet at his place in like 10 minutes," because he's going to stop by McDonald's and refill his Diet Coke. He's just going to walk right in there because you can get if you have the big
I
cup.
respect the hustle. I keep at all times a Chipotle cup in my car and lots of times a McDonald's cup. Yeah. It's not the most ethical, but I definitely do that sometimes. I did that today. I worked out, I practiced, I ate at Chipotle, and I got a Diet Coke at McDonald's.
Yeah,
God bless it. And where do you want these fine people listening to find and follow you?
Social media is the easiest nowadays. I used to have a website, but now it's like nobody will go to it, so why pay for it? My Instagram is Dango Empire. That was a nickname I got a long time ago that stuck as a joke. There's no part of my name that's Empire. Sometimes people call me Empire. There's nothing.
Until you legally change your last name.
It's because I first had shirts.
That.
Yeah.
I was playing for a Christian artist named Chris Rice back in college. This was forever ago, 25 years ago. And I had shirts that said Dango, and we were going to sell them at the shows. And he was like, he was carrying the bag, and he goes, "Well, I got the Empire with me, so I'll just bring this to the show." So he started calling me Dango Empire. And I was trying to make a website, and Dango was already taken. And I was going to do Fan of Dango, but Fandango would sue me.
Yeah,
so I was trying to come up with something, so we just came up with Dango Empire, and that's how it started. So
I love it.
anyways, yes, Dango Empire on Instagram and Facebook. I'm on TikTok, sort of, but that's like, I got like 5 followers, so don't follow me on there. That's a waste of time.
Or do and be the 6th, and
Yeah.
then you really have access to him whenever he's on there.
Really, if you want to get a hold of me, though, always Facebook and Instagram. I check. I'm on them too much. I enjoy. I post a lot of memes. It's like part of my communal thing that keeps people.
Yeah.
I like to make people laugh, and they're always clean. I always say clean enough memes for my mom, so they're never political. I actually was monetized on Instagram for like 6 months at one point. They were running a special, and one of my memes got me flagged, and they cut me, and I never was never monetized after that.
That's hilarious.
And it's so funny just because none of them are controversial. Like they're always just dumb and funny.
Yeah.
And I'll poke fun at like every president if it's like a non-political thing, if it's just something funny. But I had one that was a Santa
They all need you to do that.
yeah. I had one that was a Santa Claus in a blue costume. I posted it every year, and it's this old Santa Claus, and it says, "When you're Santa, but you're a Crip." And it's implying you're in the gang because you're wearing blue. Yeah. And I thought, that's hilarious. Like, it's not negative. And I got it flagged for violence. And I even reported it, and I went back and forth with Instagram a couple times, and they said no. And I think that's probably also part of the reason I've been stuck and not be able to raise my numbers no matter what I do. But I don't know.
Clearly, in the world we live in, you're clearly the problem we have. It's your memes. And
it's my violence, right?
The tones are just too good, man.
Anyways,
I think it's been great getting to know you.
Thank
Appreciate you coming on and spreading the good word. And
absolutely. I will tell everybody about this, and hopefully you guys gain a few more listeners, but you guys are doing a great thing. So super honored to be on this, and keep doing what you guys do and encouraging people and talking drums and life. And that's just so cool that it's a talk life, real scenario.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Thank you for being here.
Cheers.
Yeah. All right.
I felt as if I never mattered, I was never loved. So please spare me the details.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nashville Drummers Podcast. If you liked it, please consider leaving us a review on the Apple Podcast app. Please consider supporting us on Patreon. For $5 a month, you can help support this dream and keep the ball rolling for us. Believe it or not, it's not free or even necessarily cheap for us to make this thing go. To sign up, go to patreon.com/Nashville Drummers Podcast or click the link in our Instagram bio. All of your help is greatly appreciated.
Visit our website, NashvilleDrummersPodcast.com, where you can listen to all past episodes, learn more about myself and Nate, and buy all your favorite Nashville Drummers Podcast merch, including t-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, hats, and drum heads. Connect with us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube at Nashville Drummers Podcast. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.